Recent survey on business ethics reveals a 25% increase in the number of people who observe misconduct, and nearly half of the people who witnessed it did not report it. Joining us from Cape Town to unpack that is MD of JvR Consulting Psychologists, Dr Renate Scherrer. Thank you so much, Renate, for your time today. I think let's start with how you conducted the research and the sorts of questions that you asked.
Good evening, Siki. Thank you. Actually, this research, or the research that I quoted in the article, is from the Ethics Institute, and it's a yearly survey or second yearly survey that they conduct, where they ask various organizations questions like, do they observe misconduct? What happens with it in the organization? It's really a thorough process with thousands of respondents that they get on a biannual basis.
Very disturbing then to see that there's been an increase in the number of people who have observed misconduct in the workplace. But what's more worrying for me is that almost half of them did not report it. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, it's interesting if you look at this research, but even others as well. Topics that claim the same would be that typically people fear victimization. So they think, you know, if I report on it, something's going to happen to me, or it's going to have a bad effect. Also, sometimes and often about 32% of cases, they actually believe that nothing's going to happen if they report it, so why bother? And then even around 10% or so of people, 12%, actually think, you know what, maybe someone else will do it. So it's that typical process of us thinking, you know, someone else will act on it, maybe I shouldn't do it, but then also really people feeling worried that they are going to be victimized if they do it.
If we continue to see this sort of pattern, how high is the danger that this culture becomes the norm, that it becomes normalized?
There are other things that does have a positive impact, you know, on reporting of behavior or unethical behavior in organizations. And actually, I think that the organization needs to realize that they have more of an impact on that, or a control over that, than they may believe. So, for example, if an organization puts in place rigorous selection processes to ensure that they get the right people into the organization, especially at your leadership levels, or for leadership positions, you actually already start having a positive impact, because that model is then behavior is then modeled. Secondly, also, if there's an enforced code of conduct, and people can see that, you know, if we actually do not toe the line, or if we start acting in a wrong way, we are going to see some consequences to that. Okay. Then they will also start trying to behave more ethically. Also, if we can, as an organization, link our unethical behavior, or the consequences to that, to real people, it also helps for people to really see what it means and how it will play out. And then obviously, if we can start rewarding actual ethical behavior, that has a massive positive impact, because then it becomes, it's almost like a positive spin that you're placing on rather looking for rewarding the positive than punishing just punishing the negative.
It sounds to me like it's a combination of having rules and having you know, guidelines, but at the same time changing the culture of the organization, because there's also this over tendency to say, well, we've got the laws, so the laws should sort it out. But you are saying that it goes beyond that, right?
Yeah, it's a multifaceted approach, and you know, the culture that you mentioned now is very important, because we can often use the culture and values to almost highlight that moral standpoint that people already have, so that they start acting on it and actually feel guilty if they don't do the right thing, because deep down people actually know what is the right thing to do. As an individual, you know, you can ask yourself, if this had to be on the front page of the newspaper on Monday morning, would I, you know, survive the red face test? And most of us will know the answer intuitively to that as well.
I suspect a lot of employees are seeing that with all the corporate scandals that we've been seeing in recent times. Thanks, Renate. We'll have to leave it there. Dr. Renate Scherrer is MD of JvR Consulting Psychologists. Now,